You're listening to the Cynic Radio Podcast. Now, your hosts, Igri and Cynic.
You are listening to episode 26 of the Cynic Radio Podcast, and I'm your host, Cynic. And with me, as always, my co-host and the lead singer of Right Here, Right Now, a Jesus Jones cover band, my pal, Igri. On this week's show, we have a panel of experts answering all your sex, love, and relationship questions in the CRP's tribute to the greatest show of all time, Loveline. Julez, Kate, and Mr. Ryan George are in the trenches with us this week because we here at Cynic Radio firmly believe that buying a microphone and being on a podcast automatically qualifies you as an expert in all things. Miss out on that latest viral video? Didn't see the most recent trailer for the next movie coming out? In the dark about what the biggest song in America is? We've got you covered. Every week we scour the internet and look for the latest and greatest. This is What's Up.
What's up for me this week is the new Netflix series, 13 Reasons Why. Netflix really hit it out of the park. They're just figuring it out that us Netflix watchers really like the 80s and even an 80s feel, because this series is set today, but they're using it to tell a story through cassette tapes. It's really cool. It's about a young lady named Hannah and her decision to end her life, and there's 13 reasons why, and it really boils down to 13 people that did things to her. And it's told through Clay, who is listening to the tapes and trying to figure out what's going on. Check it out. It's on Netflix. It's very cool. 13 Reasons Why. That's what's up.
What's up for me this week is Brockmire, starring Hank Azaria and Amanda Peet. The concept of this extremely dark comedy started out as a viral short on the Funny or Die website. The series centers around Azaria playing legendary baseball announcer Jim Brockmire, who epically fell from grace after a mid-game on-air meltdown caused by his wife's infidelity. And you have to see it. After spending 10 years out of the public spotlight, Brockmire returns to try to reclaim what's left of his career in lovely, scenic Morristown, Pennsylvania, for a no-A baseball team called the Frackers. So if you love dark comedies and you like baseball, like I do, this is the perfect combination of the late 90s TV show Sports Night meets Eastbound and Down. You can catch all 9 episodes on IFC and IFC On Demand. Brockmire. For me this week, that's what's up.
What is love? Baby, don't hurt me.
All right, so our first question comes from Sheila. She's 24. She says, my boyfriend sleeps with his phone underneath him. He says so he can feel his alarm, but I think he's hiding something. Am I crazy? Julie, what do you think?
I think that first he's probably going to be a candidate for cancer if he doesn't move that phone real quick. Good. I think that, yeah, he's hiding something. Nobody needs to be that close to their phone. There's a sound that can go off for an alarm. I definitely would be suspect of that.
Does he, because I have the similar situation where I kind of sleep with the phone sometimes under me or near me. So if there's some kind of a side table and he decides to not use the side table instead of having it under him, I would say maybe he's hiding something. But if he's like me, where there's no side table or he's just against a flat wall and he's too lazy to actually put something up, then it could be legitimate.
He's totally hiding something. I would go with that he is getting late night text messages or something that he doesn't want you to hear, or he doesn't want you to snoop through his phone. So the safest way to do that is to just hide it right underneath him, because then you can never get it. I definitely say do some undercover work, girl.
I'm siding with Kate here. It seems a little fishy. Like Ryan said, if he has some place to put it and he doesn't, I mean, unless he's like synonymously a heavy sleeper and the vibration of the phone's the only thing that's going to wake him up, there might be something going on there. You should definitely monitor the situation.
Yeah, I feel like you guys might be on the right path. Here's the thing. If you notice that the phone is going off or he's picking it up and looking at it pretty regular, even during the awake times, and you ask, hey, who's that? And, oh, nobody. Constantly, it's probably somebody. You might want to think about it a little bit or just have a discussion. I mean, the biggest problem with a lot of this is people forget that communication is key. Have a talk. Have you talked to this person about, do you need to sleep on your phone? Or are you a super light sleeper and he's just trying to protect you from when his alarm does go off? It could go either way, but it's time for a talk. So our next question comes from Rich. He's 40, lives in California. He says, I'm 40. My girlfriend is 25. How big of an age difference is too big? Kate, let's start with you.
I think at a certain point, age is literally just a number. Like, I feel like maybe if you're in your teen, like 18, and your boyfriend has a huge age difference, you guys are just at different maturity levels at that point. But I feel like once you hit past 24, 25, there's really no age difference. I think age is just a number at that point, and I think it's fine. As long as you guys have the same intelligence and that you guys are on the same page as viewpoints and stuff like that, I think that you guys are fine.
Listen, if you get her there before recess, I think it's okay. I think at 25 is about the benchmark where you're as mature as you're going to get. So 25 and 40, I really don't think is too much of a big deal. If we were more like 20 and 40, I would think that you're going to have a hard time finding common ground, but it's really based on individual preference. If you're embarrassed or if you have a problem with it, maybe you're dipping on the low end of the age scale.
Yeah, I tend to agree that for the most part, it's very individual. So it depends on the person. I think there definitely is like anything younger than 25 is just not generally just not mature, no matter what, like no matter how mature the person is, like no matter how advanced they are in their career and all the other things, like they're just not mature to, as far as relationships go, or at least for the most part. So I'd say, but once you kind of hit that number 25, 26, I think it starts to change a little bit. And at that point, it really depends on, if they're on the same page. I'll give an example. I have a friend who's actually dating somebody who is exactly 15 years older. She's 50 and he's 35. And the only issue is like, for them, it's like, does he want to have kids? And does she? You have things like that where they may get along great, but if he really wants kids and she can't or doesn't want them, that could be a deal breaker. So I think, the age, you really kind of have to look at what are your goals and kind of consider down the road, like where are you going to be in 10 years and where's that person going to be in 10 years? Because it's a legitimate concern when there is a large age difference.
All right. Well, here's my thing. All right. So I'm 44. My oldest kid is 23. If anybody younger than basically 25 at this point is a baby. So, but that's my view. I'm not going to begrudge anybody. If you find love, if you find happiness, if you find what you need in your life with somebody even 20, 25 years younger than you, as long as it's not illegal, because I don't want a 30-year-old saying, you said 20, Ig. She's 10, that's good, right? No, that's not good. So as long as it's not illegal, as long as everybody's a legal consenting adult, whatever makes you happy is fine. And if you're concerned about the judgments from people in the world, then obviously it's a problem for you too, and maybe you ought to explore that. Our next question comes from Melissa. She's 28. She says, my boyfriend always buys me flowers, and I know he's trying to be nice, but I hate flowers. What do I tell him? Ryan.
Just tell him you hate flowers. It probably make him really happy. He's obviously trying very hard. I would want to know, like, is he just getting the same, like, has he just checked out? Like, did he just buy the same, what, dozen roses or, $5 bouquet from the local, grocery, or like, what's he doing? Is it his way of like, look at how nice I am. I get flowers all the time, but he's just kind of checked out, so I would just tell him the truth. Tell him, be creative. Do something else, kind of showcase your chops or what you're made of. But yeah, if you don't like it, then tell him.
I think maybe a little more delicate. I know that in the past relationships that I've had, if I just blatantly was like, I don't like what you're doing, it kind of like discourages them from doing anything else just because it's a little sensitive. Maybe just be like, oh man, I can't believe you're wasting money on all these flowers when we could be doing something more permanent. But I love these flowers, maybe just every once in a while. Because you don't want to completely discourage him, but at the same time, you don't want him to keep spending all this money on flowers when you're really not getting any enjoyment out of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's really a toss-up. I think you probably should be honest. If you're not appreciating the gift, then you really need to let them know. I mean, I've been with women who absolutely adore when they get flowers, and I've been with them that hate them. I would, if you're going to bring it up, suggest an alternative and pick the right time, pick the right tone, pick the right moment for the conversation.
Yeah, I agree. I think when somebody is spending money on flowers and and as we all know, flowers can sometimes be expensive depending on, what you are buying. But I would definitely kind of direct them more towards things I do like. If I, like buying picture frames because I like displaying on my friends, things like that, just kind of direct them more towards, oh, I love all these new frames I got. These are my favorite things to buy. And maybe hopefully that person would kind of catch a hint, because there's no point in having somebody spend money on things that, you don't really enjoy.
Yeah, I think you all make great points. Part of the thing I'm wondering is, are you incredibly difficult to buy for, so flowers are something that always works? Maybe he already knows maybe you don't like chocolate, so he could be buying you chocolate, but instead buys you flowers because maybe you're a girl who has everything, or maybe you guys haven't done enough things together. He doesn't know what you like. Maybe, again, more time for communication. And like Kate said, there's a way to sit down and talk nicely about this. Let them know flowers aren't my thing, but something is edible underwear. Who knows?
Now that's my thing.
But this also actually comes down to something that I always think is important with any relationship. And I guess, we don't know how long they've been together, but, you kind of have to establish the ground rules. So if you don't like flowers, then the first time you got flowers, you should have mentioned that or made that clear, or made it clear before. That's a common thing that, it's a common gift to get. So right off the bat, I would almost think when you're dating, like, let him know I hate flowers. That way you just eliminate that. But let's say, if he's been getting you flowers and you kind of allow that and placate it, and then it's going to be harder on him when you say I don't like it, or when you try you try to find a way around it. So I think whether or not this has been going on for a long time, in the future you want to try to establish certain rules kind of as quickly as you can, so that nobody gets disappointed or hurt later on.
I agree with Ryan. It's sort of like faking an orgasm. You're not doing that person any favors.
That escalated really quickly.
Or yourself any favors.
That's all very good points. All right, so our next question comes from Alice. She's 30. She wants to know, how do I keep my friend with benefits from thinking that there will be anything else? Cynic, let's start with you.
Well, I think you have to set clear guidelines on what it's going to be. And if you catch them starting to sort of catch feelings, I think you need to back it up and just be straightforward. Don't play along, don't lead them on, but kind of let them know that this is just what it is, And if he can't get with the program, I think you need to look elsewhere for your fun and games.
I think in a relationship like that, you need to kind of keep saying it just over and over. This is fun for the time being, for what it is, for what this relationship is, and make sure that that's a clear barrier that's been laid out. Because then if you kind of keep it light, keep it simple, don't talk too deep about anything, don't really call them unless it's for a booty call or whatever, I think that says what the relationship is.
Yeah, I would agree. You've got to be very clear on whatever the boundaries or guidelines are. But I do think that if you're getting signs that, or if you're seeing signs that that person wants something more, then you kind of have to end it right away, because that's not, telling them isn't going to make it better, and the physical contact and intimacy is only going to make them closer and think, oh, well, maybe I'll be able to work something out, or I'll convince her to, convince you to be okay with me. So I would definitely say, if you're getting a feeling that the person wants something more, to end it. Yeah, it's just it doesn't end well if one party is on a different kind of is in a different place, or wants the relationship in a different place.
I am wholeheartedly going to say you need to say it up front. This is casual. This is a fun thing. Do not hint at it for the rest of the time. Like, oh yeah, isn't this fun? I think it should be straight up like, hey, this is still casual and fun, right? Like, because there's no need for anyone to be guessing, well, did he mean it like this? Did she mean it like this? Well, is he starting to like me? It doesn't need to be like that. If it is your casual sex buddy, then you keep it your casual sex buddy, and you make that as clear as possible.
Yeah, I agree with everything you guys are saying, but here's my twist on it. I think that if this is truly a friends with benefits situation, and that's what it's supposed to be, maybe just keep it to the benefit. Don't do the friend things. Don't go out to movies. Don't go out to dinners. Don't go to ball games. Don't go do things. Meet up, knock it out, go home. No sleepovers. No video games. Nothing else. You meet at booty call time. Call up, booty call time. Go over, do your business, leave. Nothing else, because when you're doing those other things, that's where the relationship feelings start to get formed, when you're starting to do the things. Now, I'm not saying that it's necessarily healthy to be having a friend with benefits that you're doing these things with, but I think that if that's what you're going to do, the healthiest thing you can do is cut it clear and concise that we are in this for sex. I like what you do. You apparently like what I do. Let's just do that and call it good. So cut out any of the actual friend things and just do the benefit things.
I had friends who had emojis, and it was like a lollipop, and they would send someone a lollipop, or like one of them was like a globe, and when the other one got that emoji, if they sent it back, they were like ready to go. They'd meet up, do it, and then leave. It was the perfect setup.
Well, I think one thing you need to do is, if you don't want them to act like a girlfriend or boyfriend, don't treat them like a girlfriend or boyfriend. You're 100% right. Sleepovers are completely inappropriate. Do what you got to do and then keep it moving. Otherwise, feelings are bound to get involved, because you're in that situation and it's the most intimate thing you can do with somebody. So if you start sharing pieces of your life, or start sharing a bed, start letting them do favors for you, they're bound to get the wrong impression, the wrong idea.
So our next question comes from Phil. He's 27, writing from the Bronx. He says, I just had a girl I've been seeing for a while come back to my apartment, and it seems like she went through my medicine cabinet. Some of my pain meds are missing. What should I do? Kate.
If you just started seeing her, call her out. That is not okay. I say you'd be like, hey, I know we just met, but what the hell?
I'm missing all my Vicodin.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, what do you have to lose at that point? Do you really want to keep dating her and find out 10 months later that she has a Vicodin problem and it's all of your Vicodin? Like, that's not okay. So I would call her out. Now, if it's someone that actually know in any sense, I say call them out. There's just no reason not to.
I agree. If she stole from you the first time you let her into your apartment, then she did you a favor. I mean, it's going to cut down on the amount of time that you're going to spend with her. It's going to, she put it right out there out front that she can't be trusted, and she very well might be a drug addict, or she might be stealing them to resell them to somebody. I don't know if I would call her out, because she's not going to admit it anyway. I think in that situation, silence speaks volumes. I would cut off all contact. However, if I see or know of somebody that she starts seeing, I would definitely give them the heads up.
Yeah, Cynic pretty much got it. I would just hit abort. That's it. No need to, if it's first date, like no need to talk or let the person, give her a chance to kind of rationalize or explain anything, or just say that it didn't happen. Unless you really desperately want to be with this person, I would say end it. No questions, just end it.
Yeah, I can't really add anything other than what everybody else has said. I wouldn't call somebody out either. I think that especially if it's within the first few dates, just like Cynic said, she did you a favor. And she's only going to lie to you from here on out. So you know from jump now who you're dealing with. Take them at their first impression there and just keep it moving.
Yeah, I wonder which of us is so completely honest that we've never been in a new person's house and at least looked in the medicine cabinet. I mean, curiosity's around with everybody. I think the difference is most of us wouldn't take anything from the medicine cabinet. So, somebody looking through your stuff, you expect someone into your home. If you're not doing a better job of hiding things that you don't want people to know that you're doing, I guess that's on you. But if they're taking things that you're not ashamed of, that they shouldn't be taking, that's on them. Cut all ties, let them go. Do like Cynic said, just stop. Silence speaks volumes, and just move forward. And you don't need that kind of thing in your life. It's unhealthy in every stretch of the imagination. So our next question comes from Becky. She's 23, living in Philly. I just graduated from college and I'm having a hard time finding a job. And now the student loans have started to want to get paid. Some of my friends are starting arrangements with older guys who are in turn paying the loans. What do you guys think? Would I be a prostitute? Julie, what do you think?
Yeah. Yes, that's exactly what you would be, dear. I don't know where the confusion would be in in that. I don't know why you would think you're not a prostitute if you're taking money to pay off your loans for sex. So I'm going to go with yes. Yes, you are a prostitute.
Yeah, I was trying to formulate a way around it that maybe you're not, but no, pretty much. I mean, you are. Don't feel bad about it, but it's essentially the same thing.
I mean, you a hoe, but that's okay. There's a part of me that's like, get it, girl, those student loans suck. But, I mean, morally speaking, yeah, you probably shouldn't be a prostitute. But...
Well, I'll push back on that. I don't know that it's morally wrong. Not that I'm not going to like be the defender of but I don't think it's morally wrong. It just is what it is.
Yeah, true. I mean, at the very beginning, I told her to do it. By all means, you do you. I wish I didn't have student loans, but I'm just saying, if you want to look at the other side, yeah, it's definitely prostitution. Maybe just don't tell your parents about it.
I think it's a moral gray area. And I say that because you're two consenting adults. And in the perfect world, nobody would have to resort to these type of tactics to get bills paid. However, in certain situations, especially with the job market being what it is, you have to do what you have to do. And if you're okay with it, really, you're the only person that you have to worry about. If your conscience is clean when you walk away from it and you're enjoying yourself or having a good time with somebody, I mean, I can't blame you. Bills need to get paid at the end of the day. Hopefully a job will fall into your lap and you'll have to stop resorting to that. Or if it's in your wheelhouse, keep doing it by all means.
Well, my thought on this is if you end up making an arrangement with one guy, maybe it's more of a girlfriend experience kind of thing, which is still technically prostitution. But you said you're having a hard time finding a job, and prostitution is known as the world's oldest profession. So I guess it's kind of a job. Maybe trying to find a positive way on this, honey. I mean, the truth is yeah, money for favors is prostitution, but really money makes the world go round. And if you're okay with it, if your friends are okay with it, if they don't get caught, I mean, if you're not standing on a corner showing a leg, you're probably going to get away with it. I mean, that's where they get caught. So you're probably fine. I wouldn't worry about it. Just make sure and get tested. Safe sex is important. Do the right thing.
Well, at the same time, isn't this symptomatic of the way that this current generation looks at sex? I mean, it's become casual enough that you can find it on an app and then never have to talk to that person again. So I can't see why, if we're going to treat it so casually, why it would be such a bad thing if somebody just disregarded it and at least tried to make some sort of profit or make their way in the world by using it.
Yeah, monetize it a little bit. I mean, it's fine. I mean, again, if you're not racing 6 guys to make this happen, I guess it's a little more acceptable than finding a quote-unquote sugar daddy. All right, so our next question comes from Philly. This is Sam. She's 17. She says, my new boyfriend won't stop talking about his ex-girlfriend and keeps telling me they're just friends. Is this okay? How can I make him stop? Kate?
No, that's not okay. What the? No.
At all.
Not at all. Literally, you have to tell him, if you want to talk about her so much, then go back to her. If you don't want to go back to her, then we're done on the conversation. She does not need to be brought up into your relationship at all. Because if she's so great that you want to talk about her all the time, then he should have stayed with her. Not okay. Cut that off.
Maybe she dumped him. That's... he wouldn't be with her because she dumped him.
I don't give a shit. Then don't be with me if you're not over her ass. Bye.
Listen, maybe you ought to be a little more sympathetic to your new boyfriend's needs and hear him out and hear what he has to say once. But after that, if he continues the conversation, he's obviously not over whatever she was putting out. So it might be time to draw the proverbial line in the sand and say, this is the last time we're going to discuss this. You need to cut off all contact, or you need to try to get back with her.
I mean, we got to consider, like, she's 16. So unless assuming that the boyfriend is also 16, 17, and not 30, that's what happens when you're that age. Like, how many people at that age didn't end a relationship and end up talking to whomever their next boyfriend or girlfriend was, about the previous one? That's just is what happens. So I'm willing to give a little bit of leeway to it. But if it's bothering you, then you tell him that it's bothering you and explain it. And then if he still continues, then you kick him to the side. But it's not uncommon for at that age to be, kind of, at that point, your world, like your experience, is just limited to, a couple things, a couple people. So it's understandable. So I would just say be honest. And if he still doesn't stop, then end it, because you're probably not going to end up with him anyway.
Well, I was going to say maybe you should start, making him forget about his ex-girlfriend. But then I realized she's 17. So that's probably not the best advice I could give.
At 17?
I'm just saying. So
17's the new 35.
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and agree that, you can talk to your boyfriend about it and say it bothers you and you wish he would, maybe not bring her up as often. But if he doesn't quit doing it, then he's obviously not over this girl. So you need to keep moving.
Well, Julie, the funny thing is you're probably more right than you know, because 17, quite often people are losing their virginity already by that point. I mean, the average American teenager, more than half have lost it by the time they're 16. So that's when you hope that the parents have taught them a little bit about safe sex, about doing things the right way, and about sex can be just sex, but be careful because, boys are dirty and will do anything they can to have sex. The trick is, though, expecting that a relationship is going to be very serious and lifelong at 17 is something that is not normal anymore. Back in earlier times in the 20th century, anywhere from the 20s to the 60s, high school sweetheart things turning into marriages and lifelong marriages and everything was more commonplace. But anymore, it's almost expected that if you haven't been through 3 or 4 relationships before you got married, and I mean real relationships that were multi-year, that you don't know what you're doing anyway. So you really have to take some time and kind of learn the ins and outs of relationships, and having these kind of things happen is actually good for you, better than you know, because it's teaching you some communications and some things that you know that you like and know that you don't like. So yes, talk to him. Tell him that it's not okay to keep doing that. Yes, do what Julie said and make him forget about her. But if that's not something you're comfortable with, then don't do that. Again, it's all about your comfort level, about what you're okay with, because everybody in the relationship has to be okay with what's happening, or it's just going to destroy itself anyway. So our next question comes from Andrew in New Jersey. He's 30 and he says, I'm a virgin and jobless ever since Hurricane Sandy. Thanks again, Sandy. I'm having a hard time finding jobs and dates, and it's starting to affect my self-esteem. How can I fix this? Am I just a loser? Ryan? Is he a loser, Ryan?
I don't know. It's, it depends on what his values are. It sounds like there's some underlying issues, and there's certainly aspects of his life that are not developed as well developed as they should be at 30. So I would say you need to start working towards whatever your goals are. I'm not sure how to answer that. There's too many variables that are just unknown to give a really good answer. But I think you need to start considering what are your goals for career? What are your personal goals? And, why are you not meeting people? Are you playing video games too much, or do you hang out just to be friends? Are you kind of sheltered? What's your education? Do you have any career aspirations? Start working towards that. For relationships, start going out, get online if you have to, whatever works. Like, if you have certain goals, and if there are things that are making you feel insecure and bad about yourself, you gotta work towards fixing that.
So Kate's about to have an aneurysm. So Kate, what do you got?
I'm sorry. Do not. Thanks, Hurricane Sandy, for real. That's not okay. Don't. This is your own fucking deal, dude. Second off, I mean, do you apply to jobs every day? Because maybe you fucking should. This stuff is real. It's one of my hot button issues here. Apply to a job every day. Go to interviews. Call them. I got my job by walking into the boss's office and saying, hire me because I want the job. I mean, you need to put yourself out there. As for the dating aspect, I don't know. Maybe if you get a job, your confidence will be boosted and then boom, you'll get a job. Ladies love the confidence.
Yeah, I agree with you, Kate, because I think like sometimes you need some wins in life. And like right now he's feeling down. He's feeling like he has nothing going for him. And sometimes when you get a couple wins, like you get a job, and let's say maybe he should be working in a type of job like at a restaurant or a bar where you're meeting people all the time. That might help you meet some people. So maybe you want to seek a job like that out. But just sitting in a cocoon of loneliness and sadness and self-deprecation isn't really going to help you. You got to get out, put in some applications, and start talking to people.
Exactly. Your pity party's over, dude. Get out there and do your thing. Well,
Andy, you're a loser. And I'll tell you why. Because you had to ask that question. But it's not fatal. What you need to do is, and if you can't fake your way through it, and I'm sure you know what Tinder is, you need to get on there and pretend like you've been there before and get the girl situation out of the way if that's the issue. However, your hugest character flaw is the fact that you think that life is going to come to you. And it's not. It's not going to find your life isn't going to find you in your parents' basement and provide you with a girlfriend and a job. That's up to you at the end of the day. You can't blame Governor Christie. You can't blame a storm. You can't blame your parents. Once you were out of high school, you're now responsible for you. So it's time to act like an adult and stop placing the blame on the world on everything else and look at yourself. So until you do those things, Andy, you absolutely are a loser.
Yeah, everybody, I agree with everything you guys have said, because if you ask the question, am I a loser? The answer is nearly 100% yes. You got to fake it till you make it at some point. You know, go out and, I mean, McDonald's is a job. You got to start somewhere. If you have nothing, get something. You don't have to have the greatest job in the world, but have something while you're looking for the next thing. We all work junk jobs at some point in our lives. Everybody has. Everybody's done dishwashing or paper delivery or fast food, something beneath them.
Iggy's still delivering for Domino's.
Hey, you know, I get discounts on pizza. What am I supposed to do?
Hells yeah.
That's right. You know how much? 50% off the normal price on a pizza all the time. I'm surprised I don't weigh 800 pounds. But here's the thing. I'm also married. I'm not a virgin, and I have a job. Not a loser.
You currently are in the basement, though.
I am in the basement. It's just where I choose to be. Here's the thing, guys. You got to try and do something. And it is all up to you. We all have to put in that personal effort to better ourselves at any point. You have to try. You have to do something. It could be, I'm going to start going for a walk every day. It could be, I'm going to make sure and shave every day. Even little things make a big difference in the long run. So start something. Start it right now. Move forward and let's go. Stop being a loser because you don't want to be a loser.
Just don't start a podcast, because that isn't going to get you any women at all.
Thanks, Obama.
So our next question comes from Orlando. This is Casey. She's 25, and she says, I was having sex last night with my boyfriend, and in the middle, he called me Mom. I freaked out, stopped immediately, got dressed, and went home. Is there something wrong with me? Or how do I even begin to talk with him about it? Julie, what do you think?
I think maybe you should just leave that relationship. I think if anybody called me Mom in the middle of having sex with them, that would be a really big red flag. And I'm not sure I would want to keep going on in that relationship to see more red flags or where that possibly came from. It seems a little bit disturbing to me. I mean, I suppose you could talk to them about it, and they're probably going to deny knowing they said it or why they said it, which I guess is possible.
Yeah, I don't even know how to answer that. I mean, context is everything. I mean, could it have been a weird, like, No, it can't be. It doesn't make any sense. I would say this: if it's fairly serious, and you're happy with him, and it hasn't happened before, maybe you just like ignore it, pretend it didn't happen, and then hope that it doesn't happen again. Otherwise, I don't know. Maybe there's some underlying issues that he's got to deal with. Yeah, I don't know. Not a great answer, but
what if it does happen twice?
Okay, then you got to deal with it. All right, if it happens the second time, then you got to talk to him about it and see what the hell's going on. Maybe there is some underlying issue that he hasn't talked about. But who knows? Maybe you misheard him. I don't know. I want to give the benefit of the doubt. But yeah, it's pretty awkward. And the thing is, I'm thinking like it's got to be pretty embarrassing for him if he did say it and he's aware. So I would let him bring it up. If you want to continue with it. If you don't, then fine. Then you can call him out on it and figure it out. But, I don't know. That's a tough one.
You guys are all so much nicer than I am. First off, he has to know, especially since you ran out you threw on your clothes and ran out. He knows what he did. That's some Oedipus complex shit. I would be done because you're filling a void at that point. Guys always make jokes. Oh, girl with daddy issues. Guys can have mommy issues. And sometimes those are a little harder to deal with than the daddy issues. So you guys are way nicer than I am. I would not feel comfortable. He's trying to fill a void in his life. And if you're the one, trust me, you're going to be filling that void for a long ass time in different ways. Not worth it.
I don't think there's anything wrong with you. However, if you don't want to be called mom during sex, maybe you shouldn't call him dad. The second issue you have going against you is you are in the dirty South, my friend. And third, and you should have known that this was coming when his safe word was incest. All these things add up to the fact that you might want to have a discussion. He may be into some sort of weird porn thing. I mean, they're all it's everywhere. Everywhere you look, there's some sort of incest angle in porn anymore, or at least everywhere I look. But that's just me. He may have been going for a Spanish angle and calling you mommy, or, you don't know. Then maybe you should have a discussion. He's just as probably uptight or embarrassed or upset about this situation as you are. If you don't like it, then you should ask him to stop. I don't think it should be a relationship breaker. People say weird shit during sex all the time.
Yeah, I was going to say, all right, you're from Orlando. I get it. And I'm assuming and thinking that there's a large Cuban population, so maybe English isn't his first language, and rather than he was trying to impress you by, hey, I've been going to English classes at night, and rather than saying mamacita, I said mom. Maybe. I'm trying to find an angle to help you, brother.
I mean, you're really looking for that angle right now.
I'm stretching, and I got it. But the thing is yeah, it's weird. If this is like one of the first couple of times you guys have done anything together and this popped out, yeah, maybe cut it loose. If it's been a while and this popped out, have a talk. Send him to therapy if he's doing everything else right for you and you want to keep it going. I don't know. It's kind of weird, because, there's a big difference in the bedroom between calling someone dad and daddy, quite honestly. So our next question comes from Michigan. This is Bud. He's 40. He says, long story short, I've been married and divorced 2 times. I treated my exes very well, worked at a good job, and they both ended up cheating on me. I feel like I'm a stepping stone to something, but the thing is, the guys they left me for all seem like downgrades. What's happening? Cynic?
I had this happen to a friend of mine. I don't think you're a stepping stone. I think maybe the third time's the charm, or maybe you just chose poorly twice. But if you're a good guy and you do the right things, eventually things will work out for you. You shouldn't let a couple hose bags really taint your views of women.
I love that you called them hoe bags. I don't think you're a stepping stone. I think that you're probably going for the wrong type of woman. I mean, there are those women out there who are going to treat nice guys bad and look for the bad guys.
I'm confused. Isn't this a dude?
Yeah,
Yes,
he's
this is a
looking for
guy
the
that
wrong
was
kind
married.
of woman.
But didn't he say?
They're leaving him.
Okay.
They're cheating on him.
Yeah, they're cheating on him.
Okay.
I think that he is looking for the wrong type of woman. So the two women that he married are just not, I mean, they might be those women who want a fixer-upper. They don't want a good guy with a good job who's going to treat them well. I mean, that's just kind of find yourself a nice girl who's going to appreciate those qualities that you have and really see that in you. They're out there. Don't give up. You're not a stepping stone.
Yeah, I mean, relationships are so challenging, and I've seen plenty of situations where somebody is seemingly in a great relationship, and the person, their spouse or the significant other, leaves them for somebody which at least externally appears as a major downgrade. So, you know, there may not be anything wrong with you. You just may have made a couple bad choices. I would consider, you know, what kind of qualities did they have in common? Were there things as far as how you met them or how the relationship started or what kind of fueled the relationships that they had in common, and, you know, try to maybe identify what you might be looking for that's wrong with the people that you're dating, or what qualities they may have in common. But, you know, that's just dating. This relationship's it's unfortunate, but hopefully the next one works out.
Yeah, I think that sometimes when you get married, and it depends when, you know, how old you were when you were first married, or, you know, what happened, because sometimes if you get married very young, you might be getting married based on things as superficial as looks, you know, or you have one common interest. And so you can see how something like that might fall to the wayside. And then maybe you end up just repeating the same mistake again. So I think you have to look within and take a serious inventory of both relationships and what you really missed about those relationships, what was good about them, what was bad, and then just try to change your pattern in the future of who you're with, because obviously those are the type of people, if both the relationships ended, there's a pattern here that you need to get away from.
Yeah, the trick here is, I mean, as long as you're trying to do the right thing, don't downgrade yourself into something else. Don't knock yourself. Don't let your self-esteem get ruined because a couple of bad women decided to downgrade themselves into lesser men than you. Keep doing your thing, working your jobs, finding women. Obviously, if you've been married and divorced twice, you've had no problem finding women. But you need to find a different woman. Find one that cares about who you are and cares about how you do in your life, and isn't so much someone that needs to be put on a pedestal and worshipped as somebody that wants to let's say pull the cart with you. They want to be a part of this and struggle and succeed together instead of watch you do all the work. So you're doing the right thing. You just got to keep doing the right thing, and life will find a way to work out for you. I mean, you just keep going strong, brother. You got to make it happen.
Bud sounds like a solid guy, Ig. I think he'll bounce back. Sometimes you're your own worst enemy as far as your choices, your desires, or the girl that kind of turns you on. And sometimes you have to work against your better judgment or ask yourself, how did I end up in this situation? Because you probably helped. You probably, you probably did a few things or made a few choices that put you right back where you were the first time. And, if you analyze those patterns and take a healthy approach, third time might be the charge, right, pal?
So our next question comes from Colorado. This is from Kathy. She's 35. She says, my husband and I just had our third child 2 months ago. And now my husband has been giving me the nudges to resume our intimacy. I did have my tubes tied right after the birth, so I'm not worried about pregnancy, but I'm just not interested. What should I do? Kate?
First question, are you breastfeeding? Because fun fact, if you breastfeed, it can lower your libido. And so if you're breastfeeding, then it's totally normal because your libido is lowered. So that's completely normal. If you're not breastfeeding, though, maybe try something different. Try role play or try fantasies and see if that can get you back in the mood. But just keep in mind, if you are breastfeeding, that is a completely normal thing.
Yeah, I don't know if as a guy, I don't know if I'm the best to answer that. I would say be honest with him. You know, if I was in his position, I'd want you to be honest. You know, as Kate said, there could potentially be some legitimate kind of medical, you know, reasons for it. You just had a kid. There's lots of other variables, your stress, you know, time, you're tired from the kid. So, you know, I wouldn't be too hard on yourself, and I would just be honest with him and let him know how you're feeling. If it's something that persists, then you may need to seek some kind of intervention, whether it's some counseling or medical, whatever it is, whatever the source is. But for now, you know, it is what it is. You just had a kid, so just let him know, and you know, see what you can do.
He needs to stay off here for a little while. How much damage does this guy want to do? All right, you have 3 kids. It could be that you're just freaking tired. I mean, dealing with a newborn and then dealing with 2 other kids, not knowing their ages, but still, you're raising 3 now. So, I mean, if this persists, it really could be postpartum. We don't know. We're not doctors. If it goes any longer, then you probably should seek some help for it. However, in the meantime, maybe compromise. You know, there's always other things that you can do to kind of tame the beast for a little while. And hopefully you have an understanding enough partner that... you know, you're probably just overworked and underslept.
Yeah, I think obviously, you know, when you just first have a baby, a lot of times hormones, things like that can come into play where, you know, they're a little bit all out of whack and it takes a little bit of time to get them back situated. And like Kate said, if there's breastfeeding or whatever involved, that's certainly something to consider. I would say maybe in this scenario, perhaps spend a little bit more time on foreplay. Maybe sometimes I think women, when they feel like it's a wham, bam, thank you, ma'am sort of situation, it's not that enticing to try to do it because you're just tired. But I think if you spend a lot more time on foreplay and getting into the act, then that might help the situation.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to my standard answer here, which is always communication. And I think what might be happening now is you've spent the last 2 months doing what you should do, taking care of this new baby. And quite honestly, men never stop being children. So he probably feels a little neglected at this point. You don't necessarily have to break into going full-blown sexy time again already, but the thing is you might need to just try a little bit more to at least tell him how much you love him, how much you care about him, how happy you are that you two have this life together, these children together, and everything else. Because, you know, we never really grow out of being little kids who, hey, watch me, look what I can do. Hey, look. That's who we are at our core. And men will try and tell you different, but they're lying. Because we all seek and desire the affirmation from our significant other that we're important to them. So take a little extra time. You don't even have to do much else. You can say, look, I'm not ready physically because I still hurt or I don't feel comfortable or all this, but I love you. You've done such wonderful things for me. It'll come back. Just be patient. And if it goes a long time and doesn't come back, then talk to a doctor to make sure that you can keep the part of a life that it is important to have sex in a relationship. So if it becomes 6 months, 8 months, 10 months, and things still aren't working for you, talk to a doctor. They can help you out. But communication, it all boils down to communication. Next question comes from Maine. This is Matt. He's 30. He says, my wife and I are going to France this next summer, and we both want to go try a nude beach. What should I do to make sure that all the extra skin out there doesn't excite me and embarrass me with an erection in front of my wife? Ryan, what do you think?
You might want to take care of business before you go out. I would say that might be the only option if you're one that will get aroused by being around people on a nude beach. I don't know that I feel like that would be the only option. Otherwise, you're just gonna have to put blinders on and not pay attention to anybody else, because I can imagine that'd be a fairly embarrassing experience. But you know, I've never been to a nude beach, but I'm gonna assume that you're not going to be the only person that would be in that position. It's just a matter of how self-conscious you are or how much you care that people see you like that. So yeah, I guess that would be my thoughts.
get it together. I mean, I don't know really what else to tell you, because if you tell your wife that you're nervous to go to a nude beach because you don't want to be aroused, she's going to get upset. That is a very normal thing to get upset about. But at the same time, you don't want to be popping one when you go to the beach. So I don't really know what to tell you. Just really try your hardest. Like, either way, someone's going to be upset.
I think Ryan hit the nail right on the head. You don't want to go out there with a loaded gun, so to speak. I think you want to take care of things before you go out. But it's my understanding, and having zero experience in the situation, there's a lot that will keep things down. There's a lot of things you're going to go out there and see that will probably be a complete turn off, more so than a turn on. So you may be 50-50, and that may just help you out. So being slightly turned on might be a good idea. Being completely grossed out, it'll probably equal itself out. Or you can always do what Hank Hill told Bobby and just keep your head to the floor and count the floor tiles.
You know, for me personally, I really wouldn't care if I went out on a nude beach and my husband caught a chubby. Yeah. It would not even bother me in the slightest. I'd probably think it was funny. I mean, it is what it is.
And I'm
it's
sure
human
you would
nature.
appreciate that too.
I mean, I think you are going to see things that are going to make you lose your chubby. But I think that, you know, it is what it is. There are beautiful people all around. And, you know, I think for me, I don't get caught up in stuff like that. Hopefully, you know, other people can be open-minded like that too and just feel okay. I think you know what your status is in your relationship.
And I think I would my question for him would be, is the concern that it's going to happen, you'll get aroused and your wife will be upset, or is the concern that you'll get aroused and be embarrassed? Because, you know, I think it's kind of unreasonable for the wife to be upset over it. It is what it is. You're at a nude beach. Like, it might happen. So again, you know, I would, I'd say if it's about the wife being concerned, I would talk to her. And if it's something that would bother her, then just don't do it. If it's more embarrassment, then you kind of have to decide, all right, do I take care of this beforehand so it doesn't happen? Or like Cynic mentioned also, it's like, yeah, you're going to see things that you're not going to want to see at the same time as you may see things that may get you aroused. So I wouldn't be too concerned about it. As long as you're not kind of oogling people, you should be fine.
Yeah, I think the biggest trick here is, my understanding is the reason that there are so few men in, for example, porn, is that it is increasingly difficult to achieve and maintain an erection with 30 people around you. That being said, you're going to go to a nude beach in France in the summer. There's bound to be hundreds of people there. You might not have a problem to begin with. The bigger side of that is most of those people are probably going to be over 50, and as we know, the people in France do love their cheese, so they might not be in the best shape to begin with. I mean, they're French is basically known for their cooking, so there are a bunch of people that eat, and they're going to be wealthy people that are at the beach, so they eat a lot. Maybe you have less to worry than you think you do, but again, discharge the firearm before you go to the range, and take your chances. But and if it's just too much, or you think your wife is going to get upset, or you're going to be embarrassed, have the talk. If you're going to be embarrassed, no matter what happens, then don't go. But it shouldn't be that big of a deal. Life is an adventure, and if you're going to hate not doing something more than doing something and maybe not enjoying it, at least you would know if you went and did it. So go do it. Take the chance. I think you'll be fine. So our next question comes from Texas. This is Chrissy. She's 32, and she says, I love the 50 Shades of Grey books, and I really enjoy the movies. How can I start to get any of this going in my bedroom? I'm afraid it's going to scare my boyfriend. Kate, what do you think?
There's no other way than to just explain it. Like, at that point, you can't just surprise him and be like, hey, by the way, I bought these whips and chains. You need to just be 100% honest and be like, hey, I read these books and it seems like it would be a little bit of fun. You want to try some of it sometime? And if he says no, then it's no. And if he says yes, then it's yes. There's really no other way to go about that.
Yeah, I think, again, communication, talk to him, see if let him know that it's something you're interested in. It's not something I'm into, but I'm assuming that there are plenty of resources and there are levels to anything. So I'm sure you can start slow and then build. So, it would make sense to talk to him about it, tell him what you like about it, and start slow and then see if it goes from there. If he's into it, great. If he's not, then he's not. And then you have to decide whether, it's worth it for you to pursue something else if that's something that you're really interested in. But there are ways to kind of work that in, at a very low level, rather than kind of diving in head first and doing whatever you'd see in the in the books or in the movies. So yeah, definitely talk to him and then start slow.
If he's at all comfortable with his sexuality, if he's not a prude, guys will do just about anything you ask them to do at any point if it's going to get them laid. So he'll probably enjoy it. I mean, show him the movies, see how he feels about it. Some people, smart people at least, will have, limitations as far as things that could do permanent or bodily damage to you. And, like you said earlier in the show, communication is everything. So just have a talk about it. Get him fluffed up enough. He'll agree to anything. He'll do 50 Shades of Grey if you want. Most guys will.
Or a threat that might work for me is, say, we can watch the movie or we can do what they do in the movie, because I would do anything not to watch those movies.
They're not that bad. Calm down.
They look terrible.
They are that bad.
Yeah, I think the biggest trick here is you don't even necessarily have to spend any money to start doing some of the things that I understand. I haven't seen the movies or read the books either.
Sure you haven't.
But from what I understand, the things that are happening in the books, you don't necessarily have to spend any money to begin doing. So have a discussion and say, there's some things you could try. Use. Everybody's got some neckties and stuff around the house, spanking with your hand works just as well. You can start slow. And that's the thing is, you don't want to go from 0 to 100 and not see anything in between, because what if you get to 100 and that's what you don't like? So now you want to cut it all the way back down to 0, but 20 would have been great for you. That might have worked wonders. So start from 0, hit 1, 2, 3, work your way up to that. And if you get to 100 and that's where you guys need to be, then great. But if you get to 7 and that's where you need to stop, then stop at 7. You don't need to push the boundaries. You need to stay comfortable. And having new things in your relationship and having new excitement is always a good thing. It's a good way to keep life and invigorating moments into your relationship, gives you new things to look forward to. But you don't need to do it just as a surprise. Never should be a surprise in the bedroom. That's a weird
and
time
for the
to
love
have.
of God, just don't call her mom.
Oh my God, please don't do that.
So now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's time for Really. I'd explain it. Just listen. You'll get it. Really for me this week goes out to Pepsi and Kendall Jenner, who decided to release a 1.5-minute ad about Pepsi. And it starts kind of going over Kendall Jenner having a photo shoot, seeing that people are marching down the road, going to a protest, and she decides to join. And the cops are there trying to keep the peace, and she decides, let's get the cops involved in this, and gives one a Pepsi. So apparently Kendall Jenner and Pepsi don't have any idea what's going on in this country. And quite honestly, Kendall Jenner can't have any idea because she's living an entitled life that she did nothing to earn. So Kendall Jenner, Pepsi, pull your heads out of your collective rear ends and figure this out. You can't get social justice with a soft drink. Really?
My really goes out to this tweet. Do not attack Syria. There is no upside and tremendous downside. Save your powder for another more important day. Well, it's kind of obvious that the president didn't read this tweet, right? On September 7th, 2013, private citizen and potential president candidate pleaded with President Obama not to make the same mistake he just jumped into with both feet. In fact, 18 times he tweeted how getting involved and attacking Syria is a mistake. Now, this is an entertainment podcast, and I try to keep it non-political, but hypocrisy like this is maddening, casting us into direct conflict with both Russia in Syria and China in North Korea is not putting America first. Your stated focus was to fix the country, provide fair trade deals, and bring jobs back, not to play World Cup. Yet, not even 3 months in, and we're already on the cusp of World War III. maybe President Trump should take a few minutes and read his Twitter timeline and follow his own sage-like advice. Bombing Syria. Really?
And that's going to do it for episode 26 of the Cynic Radio Podcast. I'm Igrahi. With me, as always, has been my great friend Cynic. Joining us this week has been Kate, Julez, and Ryan George from the Jim Wits Podcast. You can find him over at thejimwits.com. We had a great time putting up a little bit of a tribute to the great series Loveline, doing our own What is Love. We'll be back next week. Hopefully we'll have time. We ran out of time this week to talk about Fear the Walking Dead. And until then, send your comments, questions, concerns, and I guess we'll take a Coke instead of a Pepsi to cynicradio@gmail.com. Look for us on the web at cynicradio.com. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/cynicradio and look for us on Twitter at cynicradio. And until next time, don't get captured.
Follow the podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and at cynicradio.com. Available for download on iTunes.
Does not compute.